episode 000 of the Collard Greens
and Curry
Podcast. I'm your host, Pierre Quinn.
And I'm the real host, Colleen Alexander.
We just started, and you talking about you the real host. What you talking about?
Everybody know I'm the real host.
They don't even know us yet. How they going to talk about you the real host?
Well, I'm talking about everybody that know us already. They know.
Okay, so the Collard Greens and Curry Podcast. On this podcast, we are going to talk about, what are we going to talk about?
Fun stuff.
Okay, so we're going to have fun.
Fun, yeah.
We're going to talk about helping you focus.
So, like mental health
and then we'll have some conversations about faith. And the idea behind this podcast is we wanted to, share our journey and invite you to share your journey as well in a authentic.
Yeah.
No,
we're gonna try to be transparent.
No shade. Let's talk about our journey. We're gonna do it in a transparent, authentic way, because that's so important. Especially, I mean, this is one of those COVID projects. Like, it came out of wrestling with the stress and anxiety of everything that happened this year.
This year I've been crazy. So yeah, it was just I think a good way for us to come together and do something.
Yeah. So this is a preview episode of sorts. That's why it's 000, like a full teaser, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So collard greens and curry, like, it's catchy. I'm sorry. People want T-shirts already, but like, why did you agree to naming the podcast Collard Greens and Curry?
I guess for me, mine is curry. I'm West Indian. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. That's where I was born. And, it just brings that West Indian Caribbean flavor. But I'm also American in the sense that from, age 12, I grew up in Brooklyn. So, yeah, I'm going to bring all of that flair with me into the conversation.
Okay. So my parents are from the South, from the southern states. My mom's from Arkansas. My dad is from Mississippi. So even though I was born in the North, I grew up on Southern cooking. And one of the things that I really loved was collard greens. I still love collard greens.
He got daughter, a baby, collard greens.
You can't train everybody. Don't fall in line with the training, but she fell in line with the training. She got trained right. So coming from that perspective of life, of having Southern parents, growing up in the inner city, like Pontiac is north of Detroit, and people treat Pontiac, Michigan like the cousin, but it wasn't always an easy experience growing up in a place like that. So I'm bringing all of that perspective to
all of that in the bowl.
All of that is in there. Now you wouldn't necessarily mix collard greens and curry.
That would be weird. Curry and some collard greens.
We wouldn't necessarily do that in real life, but
no.
For the purpose of this podcast, I mean, it's collard greens and curry.
We mixed.
We do okay.
Yeah.
we do okay. So 3 movements of our podcast. We're gonna always talk about something fun, a feel good story, either personally or something we see in the news media.
Yeah, share some positivity out there.
And then we
need some of that.
Oh man, we need a double dose of that, a triple dose. We're always going to talk about a focus piece having to do with mental health and coping. Why are we okay? So I got a graduate degree in communication. I have a graduate degree in theology. Why are we talking and I talk to people. I do some coaching. I do some kind of mindfulness stuff, but mental health is not like my thing. Why are we talking about, why are we incorporating mental health into our podcast?
Well, it's definitely a passion of mine, especially I'm currently in school studying counseling psychology at Bowie State Bulldogs. So yeah, it's definitely something I've grown to love. So I thought that, why not share some of the knowledge that I gained, Yeah. It's definitely, I think, something that we don't talk about enough, especially in West Indian culture and Black culture, African American culture. So,
you better clear that up, because that whole, who's Black or not. I know that we can do a whole podcast.
Yeah, we gotta do a whole episode on that alone. Well, you West Indian and that we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So are you going? I know you do this when we're at home, just on the regular, but are you going to do the psychoanalysis thing on me, like on the podcast?
No, baby.
You doing it right now. The low tones, the soft touch. Don't.
No, I'm not going to do that to you. But no, just encourage conversation, not just with us, but, with people and their own families, something that we don't do enough. So I just felt, why not insert that into the podcast?
And then we're going to talk a little bit about faith and our faith journey, and not just a set of religious and spiritual ideals, but also some of the things that people believe in and struggle with. Yeah. Just with
some
living.
of the issues, that we deal with on a regular. Yeah. So.
Now this is gonna be interesting, and in this introductory episode, we kind of just want to take you quickly through those 3 movements. Podcast is gonna be around 30 minutes. It might get longer because my wife likes to talk.
Really, I like to talk. Babe, who's your daddy? Bill Quinn. He loves to talk.
Why you gotta bring my daddy into this podcast? Especially the times that you on the phone with your mom at 6 o'clock in the morning and your mom is screaming up to high heavens, talking about everything under the sun.
Okay, we might talk loud, but we don't talk
Y'all
long.
talk loud and long.
Really?
Okay, Saturday afternoons.
Okay, maybe because it's week.
And every day.
You got the whole week you got to catch up.
It's about 15 of y'all, all y'all on Skype, Zoom, FaceTime at the same time. And it's just like an endless. I can't find a quiet place in the house to hide.
You exaggerated, but I'll let you have it.
Not that much.
Okay. All right. But yeah. So we'll be talking about faith, fun stuff like what?
Well, let's talk about childhood memories.
Okay.
We're going to do fun stuff like things in the news media that don't get attention.
Yeah.
That can really brighten your day. If you watch a news broadcast, local news, they do like that story at the end that's encouraging.
Yeah, it's all hidden and you
39 minutes of bad stuff, 1 minute of, hey, look, it's a dog walking down the street. So we want to inject some of these feel-good stories. And let's start off with like a childhood memory, like something you remember from being a kid that was like, that was the best ever.
The best ever, you go
or
first.
one of the best ever. I forgot. You're not supposed to put and make a person ask what's the best. You're supposed to say one of the best. So
one of the best.
One of the best memories.
I would have to say, growing up in Trinidad, the thing you want to do is go to the beach.
Yeah.
So I think one of my best memories would be, one thing that parents do in the Caribbean, they have this thing where they say they're going to clean you out. They give you like herbs to drink to flush your system. So my dad was like, okay, we're going to go to the beach, but you guys I think he like boiled pumpkin or something, and we each had to eat a piece of the pumpkin or something like that. So we were like, man, we don't want to eat this nasty pumpkin, but we want to go to the beach. So we were like begging my dad, we don't want to eat a pumpkin. We just want to go to the beach. Eventually, he just gave in, and we went to the beach. We love the beach. So that was like heaven to us. Going to the beach, because we could easily walk to the beach. Probably was like a mile and a half away from where we live. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite memories of back home, I say.
Now, I'm, growing up in a neighborhood where there was no pool in our particular neighborhood. And in a lot of black communities, there are people who just don't know how to swim, right? You get it. There's no pool. It's a thing. Like, it's a thing. Can you swim?
I swim a little bit. I bet you if I'm drowning, I'll swim.
How you going to be from a whole island, though? How you going to be from a whole island?
I mean, my daddy couldn't swim. He was...
How your daddy going to be from a whole island?
I don't know, but yeah, I guess we were never placed in a situation where we learned to swim. All my boy cousins, they jumped in like it was nothing. So they know how to swim, but most of the girls, we don't know how to swim.
I think that's a good conversation about focus and mental health too. Just about what happens in families and environments to place you in a position to kind of learn some skills or learn some things, or with some challenging things that you've been placed in. I know for me, man, a childhood memory. Okay, I'm sure we've discussed this before, but it's like, you have some memories that only come up so often. So there was this place that my grandmother used to like. She used to go. She used to love to go there, and it was like a thrift store, and it had crafts. I think it was more crafts than thrift store, and it had odds and ends.
I love thrift stores. You know that.
Okay, maybe it wasn't really a thrift store. I just remember it had little odds and ends and wooden carvings and things that you could. It was just a random store. Okay, now the name. I'm gonna put this in the link to this conversation. The name of this store was called a Whoopie Bowl.
The Whoopie Bowl.
The Whoopie Bowl. I think it was WHOPPIE. The Whoopie Bowl.
Okay.
And
this was in the neighborhood?
No, it was like 30 minutes away.
Oh, 30 minutes away.
My grandmother used to love to go there. I don't know why, because when you got there, it was a little smelly. It was a little old looking, but they had like all of these hand carved things and all these homemade items, and then odds and ends for your house and for your garden, and she would pick up certain things. But man, not too long ago, I Googled it to make sure I just wasn't imagining something.
Really?
The Whoopie Bowl is a legit like picture. If you Google Whoopie Bowl,
so it isn't around anymore, right?
Whoopie Bowl, Michigan. Like it's a thing.
Oh, okay.
It's a thing.
Maybe we should give out a prize for somebody who hits you back about the
if you know about the Whoopie Bowl, all right, not just because you Googled it, not just because you looked on the Google Photos or whatever with the listing, but if you legit know about the Whoopie Bowl,
if you've
been to the Whoopie Bowl,
you got a picture with the.
You got a picture of the Whoopie Bowl. We might have to give you a prize.
Yeah, man, so that's amazing.
The Whoopie Bowl.
Whoopie Bowl.
Yep.
That's hilarious. Though, that name.
Yep. See, after this episode, I'm gonna show you. I ain't just making a Whoopie Bowl.
Yeah, you never shared this story with me.
You know how you just got random stories or random experiences that you just because it doesn't. Like when you're dating and all of this stuff, you talk about memories and you have all these stories. And it's just some stories that are just like, that was the thing we did, but it doesn't meet the like top 10, 15 list. But
that you told the person,
we used to go to that Whoopie Bowl. Whoopie Bowl.
So you just enjoyed going there with your grandma?
Yeah, well, you would get stuff.
Oh.
And it wasn't like Kmart. Shout out to Kmart. Some of y'all don't know what Kmart was, but Kmart was long before Walmart. There was Kmart. But when you go to the Whoopie Bowl, I mean, you could get like a little toy, like a wooden thing, or sometimes they would have little food items. So, and it was far enough away to make it feel like you went somewhere, even though I think it was only like 25, 30
That's like
minutes away.
The kids nowadays. They want to go to the dollar store.
Man.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how my entire elementary school project life, like elementary school projects would have been on a whole different level if I had a dollar store.
A dollar store, yeah. For real. So much different stuff you can find at the dollar store. It's crazy.
Well, I feel like, man, these kids don't, back in my day.
That's a treat, though. They love going to the dollar store.
Yeah, our kids do. Not because we're cheap, but, $5 goes a long way at the dollar stores. Okay, so speaking of kids, and I know, man, this episode is flying by. We're going to try to keep it. This teaser is flying by, right? Speaking of kids, and as it relates to the faith section, how did your family do the whole I mean, I know major parts of it because we've been married 13 years, but people who are listening to the podcast, I mean, most of them don't know. How did your family navigate, conversations and a faith identity?
I would say it was pretty rough at times. Both my parents, they came from Catholic backgrounds, their families, but by the time I came along, I had 2 older siblings, and they were already Seventh-day Adventists. So I grew up in church, very strict, of course, and yes, Sabbath was a big thing for us. Still is, because I'm Seventh-day Adventist still. But yeah, it was it wasn't something I would say faith was something you were comfortable talking about. It's just something you knew that we did every week. We go to church every week.
Can we talk about that list? I don't know if it's like a real list or if it was one of those fake made up websites from back in the day. That list of like stars who were Adventists.
Oh,
you ever see that list?
Yeah. Prince.
Little
Richard.
Yeah, Little Richard.
Who else they said was Seventh-day
You're supposed to
Adventist?
know that Malcolm X's mom was visited, like in the autobiography, his mom was visited by people who sold Adventist books. I don't know.
There was a list. I remember.
Why we get so hype on Ben Carson?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Don't talk about Ben, man.
Okay, not right now.
Not right now. No.
Not like this. Not like this. Why do we get so hype off that list?
I think as a church, we like church celebrities.
Oh,
we love anybody like meeting celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
So for our church in particular, we like knowing that there are people who made it mainstream.
Even,
you know?
Let's see, a lot of the people who make it mainstream, you know, they make it mainstream. So we want to say we recognize them,
yes.
but
Just
you're not supposed to listen to their music. You're not supposed to watch their movies. You're not supposed to. We frown upon those behaviors. But
he used to go to school with me back in the day. Like, we just want to be associated with the person.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with Adventism, you're listening to this podcast. Our belief system, it's a conservative framework, and I know a lot of you come from conservative. Or some of you who listen to this come from conservative religious backgrounds, so you'll be able to resonate. Even if you don't know anything about Adventism, you'll be able to resonate with some of the stories and experiences that we share. And one of those was, man, the Friday night routine. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. Friday night routine.
My parents would say preparation day.
Listen,
a lot of people still say that. You know,
that thing. People go so hard for that routine. And I okay, so I get it. I get the understanding, and as a former pastor and still leading in an online worship community, I get the idea of making preparations and setting aside time to meet with, converse with God, and draw closer to your faith community. But sometimes it just felt growing up, and I know as kids, you know, our frame of reference is sort of skewed. Mm-hmm. But sometimes growing up, it felt like it was more about the routine than actually like connecting with people and having conversations with God. It's just me and my church how it felt.
Well, yeah, it felt like we had a checklist of things we had to do and not do.
Do and not do.
The not do list was much longer than the do list.
Yeah, because you can't ride your bike.
No. You can't run on Sabbath.
You can't run.
That means you having fun.
You
can't have fun.
You can't, no fun unless you're playing Bible games.
Yeah.
It's so funny because they talked about, it's so funny. They talked about no competition, right?
Yeah.
But Bible games, we have programs called AY, which are just youth ministry programs. So all the fun stuff, you can't have it early in the day. You have it in the youth program in the evening. But you could have fun playing Bible games, but we were against competition. So if the Bible games got too competitive, people would try to shut them down.
Yeah, you showing your worldly side.
Yeah, you
can't do that.
But then after that, we would go and play church basketball games against other churches. And I'm like, is it because the sun is down now? We could just...
You know, as soon as the sun was down, the switch would take place.
What time is sunset?
Yeah.
What we
doing tonight?
What time is sunset?
Yeah. So.
And don't be talking about your sunset plans.
I mean, it was definitely rough.
Guard the edges.
I think even now, people have way more that they can do. At least we feel that we have more that we can do.
I mean, how would it have been for you if you had YouTube and you could watch all the Bible stories and Bible cartoons?
Man, we were dying as kids. Like,
did you ever watch Keepers of the Flame?
No.
Okay.
No, I had what was the little boy with his friends when they would go into the tomb and go back in time?
Superbook?
No, that wasn't Superbook.
Greatest Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
The greatest
with the
Bible adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to watch those a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were fun. You know, as kids, you just want something you could connect with.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was the only thing, the only attempt to have something for our age group. You know, it's like.
In a lot of spaces, even today, it just makes kids feel like they're a nuisance.
Yeah.
Like, sit down, be quiet for these 24 hours. Don't start no trouble.
Yep.
And then even when the day is done, don't start no trouble. It's almost, I mean, we're in a culture. Kids don't start no trouble. Just be quiet. 24/365.
I mean, a lot of it was unrealistic, you know, to ask of a little kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, you want me to wake up and be at Sabbath school for 9:15? Well, I guess people's reasoning, well, you get up for school and you're on time for school. You
have to be at work at 8 o'clock. You have to be at work at 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You can be in we call it Sabbath school because we went to church on Saturday. Saturday is the Sabbath, scriptural reference to that. If you go to church on Sunday, it's Sunday school for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you had similar experiences. The serious folk, Sabbath school started at 9:15.
Yeah.
Serious folk there at 8:30 because you got an early morning prayer service.
Yeah.
And then you have Sabbath school from 9:15 to 11. Mm-hmm. And then you have divine worship. From 11 to 2:30.
Sometimes 3 o'clock.
Quick.
If you got a good choir. Yeah.
And the preacher going to take his full hour.
And don't talk about if we have communion or baptism.
5 o'clock. You get out of church at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Quick meal, dinner, rushing back for a Bible study, special program, youth program.
Yeah. AYS.
So, and then sometimes it was rushing off to basketball games, or sometimes it was socials.
Social, yeah. I used to love social. Yeah.
So if you're listening to us and you're trying to figure out what a social is, a social was just the time, and a lot of faith traditions do this. At the end of the services of that day, the entire church would hang out together and play games and have food. And it was supposed to be good, clean fun.
Clean fun, yeah. What was one of your best games you would play at social?
The best games, man. We would play. Okay, so there's this thing called Pathfinders, right? Mm-hmm. Pathfinders is like Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts, yeah.
Okay, Eagle Scout Master Guide, give me a Master Guide, hands down, in the wilderness. Give me a Master Guide. So Pathfinders was like the equivalent of what people think of as Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, but ours was co-ed, uniforms, badges, camping trips, all of that.
Honors, yeah.
Yeah. So many times during our socials, we would have marching and drilling competitions to end the social. Mm-hmm. And I loved that. They would say, all right,
that was your thing.
Old Pathfinders, new Pathfinders, wannabe Pathfinders, we're going to have a drill down. They called it drill down. And the entire church who was at the social, and sometimes it'd be like 100 people packed into this little basement area. Yeah. And the Pathfinder leader, and ours was a former Marine, former police officer. He would start calling out the commands. Oh. If you messed up the command, you had to get out. And there were so many times that I was one of the last 5 or so people in the drill down competition to close off the social. So, man, those were nights, man. It's midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
I know
at socials.
That was fun. Our thing at my church, we used to have. I think his name was Brother Guy.
Brother Guy.
He would lead the march. It was this march, really kind of like a dance. You had to get with your partner.
Oh, y'all dancing in church?
Yeah.
How y'all wait a minute.
It was a march.
Nah. You got partners? Nah. You
had a partner and you kind of in line.
Okay.
Like
line dancing. Cha-cha slide. Y'all doing the hustle? Electric slide?
Don't get me started.
Wobble? Y'all wobbling in church?
Nah, we didn't wobble. But it was a lot. Everybody know Rogers Ave. You guys know what I'm talking about.
How you know Rogers Ave even listening?
Somebody will be listening from Rogers Ave. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It was how we would end the night, the social. Everybody came together and, it was definitely good memories, man.
We'd love to hear some of your memories. Feel free to let us know. Hit us up on Instagram, Collards and Curry Podcast. We'll put up a picture of this conversation. We'd love to hear about if you grew up in church or just childhood memories, or even questions of faith. Throw those in. We'd love to share those on the podcast. I think we got enough for this extended teaser
for an episode of a new podcast.
000 episode 000. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going on this journey, sharing, our story, some things that we're learning about life, successes and struggles, and man, maybe encouraging more people to eat collard greens and try
some curry.
Now listen, I'm not from Trinidad, but let me tell y'all, all curry ain't the same.
No. Beware.
All curry ain't the same, and everybody can't cook it. Just like
the right curry, man, the right curry.
Just like everybody can't cook collard greens, all right? So collard greens and curry, this is our podcast. Subscribe, share, hang out with us, because it's going to be fun going on this journey with you.
Looking forward to it. See y'all on the next episode.